There are football stories and there are football wars. Those are two different things. And a few men in modern football history has ever walked into the war the way Jose Mourinho walked into it. He first arrived at Real Madrid in 2010, I believe. At the time, Barcelona were untouchable. Pep Guardiola's side were not just winning games of football. They were humiliating opponents psychologically. They were beating them down physically and literally mauling them over in the way they played football. Tiki-taka was born at that time. Real Madrid was broken. They were a shell of themselves. 6 straight Champions League round of 16 exits. 6 constant humiliation in a Clásicos, a club with the biggest stars in the world without belief. And then Florentino made one of the most dangerous decisions possible. He hired Jose Mourinho, not to play beautiful football, not to entertain, but to destroy the fear that Real Madrid had cultivated for 6 years consecutively. Football may be witnessing the return of the special one to Real Madrid once again. And this, Jose Mourinho and Real Madrid, the second coming. Before Jose Mourinho arrived at Real Madrid, he had already become Barcelona's nightmare. In 2010, he took Inter into the Camp Nou and Emily team in one of the most iconic Champions League semi-finals ever. That image, Jose Mourinho sprinting across the Camp Nou pitch with his finger raised up in the sky. Every single person remembers it. If you watched it, you know it. It changed everything. Florentino Pérez looked at Jose Mourinho and saw one thing Madrid had lost: mentality. Because at that point, Madrid did not need another tactician. They needed a fighter. And Mourinho arrived exactly as Mourinho does, with absolute confidence. I am the special one. Please don't call me arrogant, because what I say is true. If I wanted an easy job, I would have stayed at FC Porto. Beautiful blue chair, Champions League trophy. God, and after God, me. Those were the words of Jose Mourinho. To many people, Mourinho sounded arrogant. But to Madrid fans, he sounded fearless. Real Madrid has been searching for the fearlessness for over 6 years before he arrived. Modern football fans forget this part. Before Mourinho arrived, Real Madrid were mentally fragile against Barcelona. Bernabeu expected suffering in the Clásicos. Barcelona controlled possession. They controlled the trophies. And worst of all, they controlled Madrid psychologically. Jose Mourinho changed that immediately. Training became war right there. Intensity became obsession. Excuses disappeared. And slowly but surely, he transformed Real Madrid into monsters. Cristiano Ronaldo evolved into a goal-scoring machine unlike football has ever seen. Karim Benzema became tactically intelligent and selfless, and most of all, he became a lion. Mesut Ozil flourished creativity. Angel Di Maria became devastating in transitions, and Sergio Ramos embraced the role of the chaos in the backline. And of course, his running mate, Pepe. Pepe became the perfect Mourinho soldier. People called Madrid aggressive, dirty, confrontational. But Mourinho did not care. Because for the first time in years, Barcelona were uncomfortable. And statistically, that transformation was ridiculous. A 100-point La Liga season, 121 goals, a record-breaking title win, 3 consecutive Champions League semi-finals. This wasn't failure, it was construction. Because the team that later dominated Europe under Carlo Ancelotti and Zinedine Zidane was built on Mourinho's mentality. He rebuilt Real Madrid's belief. He rebuilt the anger. He rebuilt the standards. And Mourinho did not build a team. He built a resistance. That is what he did. But this story was never just about football. It was about, this was about the ideological warfare. Pep Guardiola represented elegance, control, beauty, while Jose Mourinho represented confrontation, disruption, psychological destruction. And every Clásico felt like football's version of a world war. Press conference became battlegrounds. Referees became headlines. Every decision created chaos. And then Jose Mourinho's most infamous outburst. Why? Decision always go their way. That absolutely ties into what Florentino Pérez has been saying lately about the whole Niagara's case, the whole referees, the whole Barcelona paying referees. We all knew that. But why did every decision go their way? He openly questioned referees, questioned football itself. To Barcelona fans, he became a villain. To Madrid fans, he became the first man willing to fight back. And the tension became unbearable. Red cards, fights, arguments, touchline chaos. Then came the moment that symbolizes everything. Jose Mourinho poking Tito Villanova in the eye during mass confrontation. Football became pure madness. Even Pep Guardiola eventually snapped. He is an effing chief, an effing boss in the room. That rivalry consumed Spain, consumed football, consumed everyone. But Mourinho accomplished something few thought was possible. He made Real Madrid stop fearing Barcelona. And once that fear disappeared, the balance of power in Spain changed forever. But every Mourinho story eventually reaches the same ending: combustion. Because Mourinho's intensity is impossible to sustain forever. Eventually, the dressing room began to fracture. The relationship with Iker Casillas deteriorated badly. Spanish media leaks intensified. Tensions with senior players exploded. The club became divided. Some players loved Mourinho. Some were exhausted by him. But Mourinho never changes. If you don't hate you, you're doing something wrong. At some clubs, when you are second, you are the first of the last. He demanded absolute loyalty, absolute intensity, absolute sacrifice. And by 2013, everybody looked emotionally exhausted. Jose Mourinho left Real Madrid with one La Liga title, one Copa del Rey, and one Spanish Cup. To outsiders, it looked disappointing. But history tells a different story. Because after Mourinho left, Madrid became Europe's dominant force. La Decima arrived. Then another Champions League. And another. And a mentality that carried Madrid through impossible European nights was born during Mourinho's reign. He normalized suffering. He normalized pressure. He normalized war. And Real Madrid never looked psychologically weak in Europe again. However, now, we fast forward to today. Real Madrid once again feel unstable. The dressing room tensions, the ego battles, questions about leadership, questions about control, and even questions about who has the best right hook. And suddenly, the Mourinho rumors return. Because when Real Madrid feel chaos approaching, they look to strong personalities. And there may be no stronger personality in football history than Jose Mourinho. Some people think it would be a disaster. Others think it would be exactly what Madrid need. A manager ruthless enough to reset standard. A manager powerful enough to control superstar egos. A manager who understands that Real Madrid is not a football club. It is pressure. Jose Mourinho understands pressure better than anybody. Pressure? Pressure is a poor man looking for food. That's Jose Mourinho. Defiant until the very end. Question is now not whether Mourinho is still a question, is whether modern football can still survive Jose Mourinho. Can modern players survive him? Can the dressing room survive him? Can Real Madrid survive another civil war? Maybe this ends in disaster. Maybe it explodes within months. Maybe the dressing room collapses again. But one thing is for certain. José Mourinho returns to Real Madrid. Football becomes cinema again. Because when Real Madrid loses control, they always look to the one man who never cared for peace. Let me know what you guys think about this. José Mourinho is on his way to Real Madrid. I'll see you guys in the next one.